and happy Wisdom Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in and for choosing to spend some of your time with me. It's your girl, Milagros here. And during the month of September, we are talking about letting go. We're doing what the trees do and just dropping all the dead weight. We talked about the idea and the reason behind the importance of letting go. We talked about letting go of our excuses, and we talked about letting go of old stories that no longer serve us in a way that contributes to our health or our happiness. And that's mental health, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, all the different types of health. If it no longer serves us, we have to allow ourselves to be in a space of awareness so that we can recognize and identify that and then rectify it accordingly, meaning let it go, create a shift, make changes, take baby steps, whatever it takes. I would be remiss if I did not include this particular video in this series of letting go, which is the other end of letting go, which is making room, being open, right? I find that sometimes in my life, I have to be intentional about letting go. That's a bad habit, or that, not necessarily bad. It's a habit that no longer serves me in a healthy or contributes to me in a healthy or happy way. So I have to let that go, right? I have to let go of old clothes that take up space in my drawers that I don't wear anymore to make room for new ones. Yes, I have to let that go. But sometimes there are things that I don't necessarily have to let go. I have to be aware that I'm holding on to. And then I have to be intentional about being open, right? Being open and making room for the things that I do want in my life. Because I find that if we spend way too much time focusing on what we don't want, we're putting forth that same energy and just calling more of that thing, right? It's just like we talked about before with the reticular activation system in the brain, where if I say, don't think about a unicorn, don't think about a unicorn, all you're going to think about is a unicorn. I have to let that go. I have to let that go. It just feels so heavy. So instead, I remember I did this once in a room as an icebreaker. I did the whole reticular activation system of the human brain, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, don't think about a purple elephant, this big, beautiful purple elephant. And it's whatever shade of purple you want it to be. And I went through the whole thing about the elephant first. And then I said, don't think about that purple elephant. And you see people and I said, now how many people here are thinking about the purple elephant? And all the people in the room, except for two, raised their hand. So when I asked the two people, why didn't you think about the purple elephant? The woman in the room said, I've done this before, and I recognize that I have to distract myself or shift my thinking. So I started thinking about a zebra instead, right? And then the guy said something similar, but he actually learned it in therapy. How we have to, in order to kind of pull away from the thing that's negative, that's taking our attention, we have to be intentional about acknowledging, okay, I don't want to spend my focus, my energy on that thing, so I'm going to shift and think about this thing instead, right? So sometimes when there are some things in our lives that we really do need to let go, what we can do instead is focus on being open and making room in our lives, and then that thing will eventually dissipate because we no longer provided a space to sit, to grow, to blossom, right? So for instance, I remember, personally speaking, there was a time where I was saying, I want more trustworthy people. I want more people I can trust. But I kept focusing on, I have to let go of not being able to trust. I have to let go. But all I was doing was not being able to trust, not being able to trust. So then I said, okay, let me just practice being open to trusting people. Let me just trust that things are going to work out in my favor. Let me just trust that I trust myself enough that if I move into a space and that space feels uncomfortable or that space doesn't feel safe, I'm going to trust my guidance enough that I'm going to remove myself from that place, from that relationship. I'm just going to be open to trust. I'm going to be open to feeling it, to moving in it, and to trusting other people, right? And then the more that I gave myself that room, that space to just be open, the more that I found I was able to develop really this internal trust, which eventually became external trust, because we attract what we are, right? And then I found that I was able to attract people who were trustworthy, who truly were trustworthy, but it had to start here first, right? So it wasn't necessarily about letting go of not being able to trust in that particular instance. It was more about making room for and being open to trust. So here's your assignment for today. If you choose to accept it or not, it's up to you, right? I want you to think about the things in your life that you do want, and then make yourself a short little list. Don't get crazy, right? Just make yourself a short little list. Make sure you date it, put it in your journal, put it on a little postcard, right? I keep these nearby, and then I keep some in my purse. And sometimes I'll just like, let me write that down, right? Make yourself a little list of the things that you want more of in your life. And generally speaking, these things are eventually like our values, right? And then the question is, am I allowing myself to be open to moving in these spaces, to making room for? Because we have to make space in our lives for the things that we say are important to us, right? We have to make room in our lives and stay kind of open mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually to accepting these blessings, because they're all around us. We just have to be available and open to seeing them, right? I could go through my day and find hundreds of things that I'm grateful for, that are a blessing, and someone else driving through that same space might not be able to see them because that's not what their focus is. So in terms of letting go, let's also make room for, if it feels too heavy, too much work, too debilitating, too crushing to let go, then stop. Instead, what's the opposite of that thing that you're trying to let go, right? And then make room for it. Be open to it. Say to yourself every day when you leave the house, read your little list and say, I'm going to be open to love. I'm going to be open to trust. I'm going to be open to whatever, right? To fun, to ease, to laughter, to humor, to light, to ideas. I'm going to be open. I'm going to allow myself to be open, and I'm going to move in those spaces because, damn it, I deserve it. Because I am worthy, because I deserve a life that I love in every space of my life, right? So we have to be intentional about being open and making room. So that's what I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, what you waiting for? Subscribe to my channel. And yeah, share it with someone if you know someone who could benefit from this. And I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and the start of next week. Being open, just be open to super sparkly everything, right? Yeah. Peace.